Hello, I'm FTX Cat and welcome back to another video on the internet. Today's video on the internet is a very rare and special breed because it is another episode of the Minecraft Xbox Updated Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I've been playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course destroying stuff. And in today's episode, we're just going to cut right to the chase. We're going to the Nether. I have a lot of destruction to do because I'm collecting some Nether brick blocks, as you can tell by looking at this shulker box right here. I'm going to be collecting a lot of some Nether brick blocks today. And I'm going to be doing so in my Nether because I'm destroying an entire Nether fortress. I want to do another recycling challenge, and I figured, you know, the Nether fortress, it's getting in my way anyway. It's making my life tricky, so let's just destroy the entire thing. So that's what we're doing today. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And while we do that, I wanted to talk about some, I guess, some big things in my life, because this last week, or I guess this last week, you know, recently I spent a week only eating fish, and something about this whole week, again, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh man, I tried not using batteries for 8 hours, or I didn't check my phone for 2 days and now I understand the meaning of life. I'm not one of those sorts of people, but I did realize a lot about like labels and how people define themselves just from this like whole fish process, and I figured, you know, why not share it with all of the lovely citizens of the internet, which is you, in case you're curious. Actually, no, I don't know if you're a citizen of the internet or if you're just visiting, but there is definitely like a type of person who spends a lot of time on the internet. I would probably put myself in that category some amount, and you know, this is for you, just in case that's a thing that you find interesting. Because again, when it comes to like labels and stuff, it's one of the things that I've never really understood why almost every person I've ever met has like this instinctive desire to want to belong to a lot of groups, you know, whatever types of groups you're thinking, like, oh yeah, I want to belong to the group of people who, you know, like, I don't know, I think about like people in school, like, oh yeah, I'm a jock, or I'm a hippie, or I'm a, well, actually, hippie's not a group, I'm, you know, or I think prep is a term, I don't know the American ones, but like, oh yeah, there's jocks who play sports, there's goths who just, you know, do that sort of stuff. And these are very distinct groups of people that every single school has, right? Like, you know, like, although there might be variants between the different groups, you know, jocks always play sports, and nerds always like computers, and so on and so forth. And although I think it's less so today, the fact that this is like a real stereotype system that was true in my, you know, it was true in my school at the very least. Like, oh yeah, there were groups of people who were known as this, there were the cool kids, there were this and that. It's something that fascinates me because something I've seen throughout all of that is even people who want to put themselves at the bottom of that hierarchy love to have a group to define themselves by. Even if it's a group that is, you know, not a particularly great group, or, you know, whatever, people love to be parts of some sorts of groups. And again, I tried eating fish this week, so let me tell you about how that's related to it in today's very, you know, different Let's Play episode. Because, again, we're going to be doing a lot of Nether brick mining. You just got to accept that, like, yeah, we're destroying a whole Nether fortress. We got good reasons, as we always pretend to, at least. And, yeah, let me talk about at least a little bit my attempt to eat some fish of the week, because yeah, this it's such a tiny weird thing to talk about, but it is something that a lot of people express some interest on when I mentioned it on Twitter. Because if you don't know, for the last week I've been only eating you know, like, I guess not eating meat, I would say, it's a simple place, but also eating fish, because, you know, fish isn't really meat. You might say, no, Toy Cat, well, it's kind of meaty, it's protein, etc. But like, I don't feel any guilt when I see a fish die. Like, you know, call me crazy if you want for that, but you know, like, fish aren't cute, therefore they're not animals. Might sound like a cruel rule, but like, if there was a chicken that it wasn't alive, you know, if we could synthesize chicken, I wouldn't feel bad about eating it. I mean, I don't feel bad about chicken anyway, but, you know, like cows, or like cat. I don't eat cat because, you know, I think cats are cute household animals. But, you know, I do eat a cow because it's tasty, and, you know, cows are real monsters. Like, you ever been near a cow? They're not very nice. I don't eat sheep because I think they're nice animals, they're fluffy, they're cute. You know, like, these are the basic rules that define, you know, like, this is what meat is really defined as, right? Also, that could have gone horribly wrong. So yeah, basically I was like, okay, I'm gonna only eat fish for a week, because I've heard that, like, there are certain types of processed meat that are really, really bad, but fish is generally accepted as, like, you know what, if you're gonna eat a meaty substance, fish is pretty good. And I was like, yeah, let's give it a whirl. Let's see what fish is all about. Let's go for a whole week. Let's try and eat as many types of fish as I can, just to see if there are types I like. Like, honestly, most fish is garbage. That's the problem. But I've never tried so many types of fish that might not be garbage. So this week I tried mackerel for the first time. I tried, like, making various recipes with salmon. I love salmon a lot, but I've never tried using it in cooking. I usually just eat it, like, right out of the packet. I know, that's weird to me. It's strange, whatever. But one of the things that, you know, I kind of realized during this past week is that, yeah, so many fish suck. There's a reason mackerel is so cheap. It's terrible. I don't understand who is after mackerel, but they've got the wrong opinions on life. Like, it's insane how bad mackerel is. But I've also realized that, like, actually anchovies, I thought I loved them before. I really love them now. I could eat anchovies instead of eating chicken every day. Why don't I? And, like, questions like that and realizations like that is what this week was kind of about. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about it because during the course of the week, which I mostly adhere to, like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something that's kind of challenging because eating meat is more common than you might assume. Like, it's hard to eat only, fish in a day-to-day life. Even if you're cooking for yourself, it's like, well, how many recipes do you know that don't involve meat? And it's like, yeah, so that was a challenge I had to work through. But as part of the challenge, I kind of realized something because I made one mistake during the week. So I had a whole week of just eating like salmon and tuna and mackerel, by the way, it sucks, and anchovies and, salady stuff. And, that's what I tried to do all week. But the interesting thing that I realized is that I had one day where I went to Subway. If you don't know, it was Friday. That fateful Friday stream that we don't talk about, where I drank a lot of melon juice and some things happened. That stream, after that stream, like my ability to make good decisions about eating what I wanted to, they were kind of gone. So I ate, I think it was like chicken and bacon Subway or something like that. Like I ordered it in the night. I had half of it, and then like I woke up and I was like, hey, Subway's on my couch. Heck yeah, this is the dream. Like pro tip, forgetting things sounds bad, but you know what's way better. Like the upside of forgetting things is you wake up and there's some stuff that you really like, because who's best at getting you gifts? You. And who won't remember what they got you in the morning? Apparently you, after drinking some melon juice. So yeah, basically because of this, I woke up and I was like, this doesn't count, right? Like what I do under this circumstance is clearly not the same as not normal. So I just didn't count it as like, oh, this isn't really a breach or anything like that. Like, this is still basically the same. Like, to me at least, it was like, now, yeah, I've eaten fish all week, with one exception, with this, a fairly big exception if we're being honest, but like, with this exception, I ate only, fish all week. And I realized in that moment that, like, yeah, honestly, most, ideologies, most things we have, always try to be like, hey, yeah, be strict about everything all the time. And we should aspire to be, perfect and everything like that. Like, I don't think we should ever give up our aspiration to be perfect. Like, that's a cool part of humans, that we always want things to be better and better, or at least some of us do. I mean, some people settle for everything, but a lot of people always want better than before. And again, it sounds like a terrible thing, but that's the engine that drives world growth, if you don't know. Like, if we just decided, like, hey, human society's pretty good now, we'd have given up, and, like 20 years ago, there'd be, that would have been a thing. It would have sucked. And some people do want that, don't get me wrong, but most people don't. Most people always want bigger and better. If someone offers you a raise at work, you know what you're gonna say? You're gonna say yeah. You're not gonna say, actually, my life's pretty comfortable as is. I'll turn that down. You can keep that. Maybe use it to fund some baby dolphins or something. No, you don't. You don't say that. And so yeah, this strive to be perfect is a good thing. But also I realized in the moment where I decided that actually, eating Subway because I ordered it after drinking all the melon juice, that didn't count. Like, it was a weak moment, and therefore it's very much not the same thing. But the fact that I counted it that way was basically me saying, like, oh yeah, this thing still defines me for the week at least. For a week I define myself as a fish eater. I had to be a fish eater basically. But despite the fact that it was the thing that defined me, I made a breach in it, and then I decided it was okay. And this made me realize that, like, oh, people pick up these terms. People pick up all these sorts of things, to live by, or to, in the case of lots of these things, like if it's a religion or something, it's a whole thing you live by. It's a whole lifestyle you've picked up. But at the same time, just because it's a thing that you define yourself by, it doesn't mean you have to be 100% adherent to it. Again, that sounds like a bit of the oxymoron. Like, so there's this thing that tells you have to do nothing but this, and also you're going to do things that aren't nothing but that. But no, hear me out on this one, right? Because I think that the way we decide, this is getting really tricky to walk around this thing, I think that the way we decide what we're going to do or not, so I think that we pick up labels all the time. Like, I would consider myself a gamer. People don't like that term anymore, but I play games. I like people who play games more than people who don't, on average. And I would consider myself someone who, is generally an introvert and generally, I really like Minecraft survival. I'm a big, like, advocate for, like, if you cheat in a single player game, you've cheated yourself, and I hate you, and you should hate yourself. And also, like, it's ridiculous in my opinion. That's been my thing. I'm very much a strict advocate for Minecraft survival all the time. If you cheat, you're just stealing from yourself. You're stealing future happiness from you, and that's stupid to do. Like, why do that to yourself? That's always been my opinion. And so because that's a thing that I not only hold, but I tell other people about it, it's there for a thing I hold way more strongly, right? Like, oh yeah, because everyone knows me as the person who only plays Minecraft Survival, even when I died in the Nether, literally hundreds of thousands of blocks away from spawn, what I could have done, I could have spent 2 seconds in creative, giving myself a new elytra or all my stuff back. It'd probably be about a minute if we're being real. But what I did instead is I spent 8 hours, it was 4 hours live streaming fishing, and then another 4 hours. It might have been another 4 hours too. So it was 8 to 12 hours just getting a brand new mending book so I could fly back, I could get my stuff and recover it. I went through 12 hours that could have been 2 minutes. It was a painful 12 hours too. It wasn't a pleasant time, but I did it because I really believe in the survival thing. And, you know, I've made my identity, like, people, you know, you might know me as the guy who really loves survival based on the big projects, such as the fact that right now I'm recycling a stronghold, for example, Nether Fortress, for example. Maybe that's how you know me. Maybe that's how you know, you think of me or whatever. And because of that, you know, because it's such a publicly known thing, I think that's part of why. Also, where are we right now? Is this just leading to nowhere? But yeah, I think because of the fact that like it's so publicly stated, I think that's one of the reasons why I feel the want and the need to stick to it so strongly. Like I definitely, I think if I wasn't private, I don't know what I would have done. If it wasn't something I'd said on videos, if I was just a random dude who lost their stuff, I might be inclined to switch to creative or something like that. I mean, I'd probably just give up on the world because I don't like the fact that once you've gone for creative, you lose access to achievements. You know, the game is telling you cheated and, you know, you should feel bad about it. And I like that it does that. But yeah, the fact I went through 12 hours of work instead of 2 minutes just because I'd committed to something publicly. And it made me realize that, like, actually, yeah, I think it's good to be flexible on your wants and your desires when it's, like for most of the things you do in life. Like, be flexible about, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be real with you here. You know, I know, what's a good example? I am really, really, really flexible in my not trying to do harm to animals thing. Like, again, I don't eat lamb because it just makes me feel bad, honestly. And you know, it's like, oh man, can we eat animals that aren't like cute and aren't killed in such horrific ways? And it's like, you know, okay, so you know, I'll skip on that one thing. But honestly, if I'm on a plane and the only option is lamb, I'll eat lamb. I'll compromise on that in a second. If I'm only eating fish for a week and it turns out I accidentally bought a Subway, it's already bought. Like, you do a lot worse for the world by sticking violently to every... Like, there are people who believe violently, strongly in everything they believe. Like, okay, you know, I believe in, you know, I don't know, what's a good example like? But I believe that pineapple shouldn't be on pizza. I'm gonna go bomb, you know, insert large building here because of that. Like, there are some number of people who get extreme about everything. That's how you get to the stage where, like, you know, like that. Once you're extreme about everything, the things you're extreme about, you're really extreme about. That's how I would argue we do genuinely get terrorists, right? Like, this is their one motivating belief. They believe they're right, and there's nothing that can change them, nothing that would make them wrong. When you get to that belief in anything, it's scary because once you get to the stage where you'll justify violence to stick to your, you know, like your inner beliefs, then I think you've gone too far for most things. You know, maybe I'd fight a man if it encouraged less people to, you know, play this like half survival, half creative nonsense where you just cheat yourself and you also kind of cheat anyone who goes into your world who doesn't realize what you've done there. You know, like if I had to fight a man to do that, would I? I'm not too sure. But would I fight someone if they tried to make me eat not fish during Fish Week? I don't think I would. I think it's really, really cool to temporarily experience all these sorts of labels. Like, you know, I would love to be, you know, like, you know, for a week, go, you know, like, have some spiritual sections. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to a monk in the mountains somewhere. I'm gonna see what it's like to, you know, to live this lifestyle. Because penance, which, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not using this word wrong, but penance, like, the concept of, like, deliberately withholding something from yourself, generally does hold good results. Like, there's a reason we don't withhold stuff from ourselves all the time, because stuff is good. But it's also really interesting that despite the fact that stuff is good, stuff is universally good, not doing things is really great. Trying out you know, there's a reason there are humans that don't eat meat. There are humans that don't, you know, like, I don't know, eat any liquid food. There are humans who exercise for 12 hours a day every day. You know, there are lots of rules that people impose on themselves and people, you know, like, impose sometimes on others. And some of these, all of these rules are good for someone somewhere. But the truth is, everyone needs their own separate things. And that's why I would say, you know, when you're picking an ideology, when you're picking, like, a label to define you, personally, I would say, or, you know, I would say not every label has to be a defining label. Like, if you're a vegetarian, eat meat if it's the easier option or it's already there, or like, like, I'll have one meat day a week, or like, oh, it's a birthday party and there isn't a vegetarian option. I can raise a big fuss about it, or I could go along and I could make this person's birthday better. Like, there are sacrifices you can make to your, your inner, your sense of self, that little thing yourself. And if you just make yourself ready for the sacrifice, you might do less good in the long run. Like, oh yeah, well, if you're willing to not eat meat if you're willing to eat meat at a birthday party, maybe you'll eat it, when McDonald's has a new burger that you're craving and you're feeling, hormonal, or whatever part of your brain is activating that's making you unable. Maybe you've drank too much melon juice. Maybe that's a thing that will happen. Like, oh yeah, you'll make mistakes like that. But I also think that, generally speaking, one of the big beliefs that I have that isn't common anymore, it's really depressing this isn't common, is like, hey, if you believe in something so bad you want to kill other people over it, you probably believe too hard. If you're like, hey, it's okay, you have to kill this guy, but in exchange, Minecraft, survival can't be switched to creative halfway through, and people won't do that nonsense. I have a whole bunch of, like, who hurt me stories to do that, by the way. Don't worry. There's a real reason I believe in that. But, like, if someone was like, you have to kill someone over this, I wouldn't choose to do so. Even some of my most extreme, like, things that I believe. Like, I think I wouldn't even... Okay, wait. One of my serious beliefs is you should never kill someone over ideas. You can kill someone over their actions. Like, I'm not saying I'm pro capital punishment, but like, if someone, I don't know, if I walked into someone trying to choke, my girlfriend to death or something, or whoever, like someone I really, really loved and care about, and the only way I could stop them is using violence. Why did I jump over that gap? Why do I have a gap like this? This is terrible. But if I could, yeah, of course, like instinctively in the moment, if it's the only choice, yeah, I get that. Like actions can warrant actions in return, but when we get to the stage where we think to ourselves, like, you know what really warrants actions though? Ideas. Your ideas are so poisonous, and this is a thing that's developing more and more in the modern world, and it's something I think we should avoid. Pick a term. Define yourself by something. Define yourself by anything, honestly. Like if you have something that keeps you consistent, that's good. Even if it's something as simple as like, oh yeah, well, I only use my phone between 9 and 10. Wait, between 9 and 5. After that, I stop using my phone because it makes me a better speaker. Like, pick something that defines you, makes you unique. That's a cool thing. Like, people need unique rules that are sometimes hard to follow. Like, it's not easy to only eat meat for a week, fun fact. But, we need to have rules. We need to have things to define us. Don't get me wrong. But I think for most of the rules, it's fine to be a little flexible. For a lot of people, being a little flexible means being a lot flexible, and that's why we pretend that everything has to be... Oh, that was easier than I thought. But, yeah, that's why we pretend that everything has to be all or nothing. Like, oh no, you can't believe in something a little bit. You believe in it all the way, or you're a traitor to the cause. That's how a lot of people do genuinely think about these sorts of things. That's not my honest impression, though. My honest impression is that if you can trust yourself, if you can be good, if you can believe that you can do things regardless of the outside action, maybe, just maybe, you should. So I spent 80 minutes talking about that, but as we all know, the Let's Play is not just what I've been thinking about the last week. It's what I've been up to, a little bit of a vlog, as well as what's going on in the Let's Play world. I guess I should mention, like, hey, yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed the Never Terraform video I did recently, where I turned it into a cave. It's fun, in my opinion. And that was really cool to me because I was so nervous. Like, I thought the video might do a little well, honestly. I was like, it's a big survival project. Some people might appreciate that. But the video went way wilder than I could have imagined. And one of the things that should we destroy the blaze spawners or not? I feel like yes is probably meant to be the answer to that. But one of the things that I was like kind of waiting on until until we saw the response to that was the kind of question of like, so should I do more of these big terraforming projects? I really love the terraforming the end into glass kind of thing. And there's been a big one I've had in my mind ever since then. Oh, I got withered. That's not good. And basically because of that, I was thinking to myself, like, maybe, just maybe, we should go ahead. I was thinking, my mind blanks when I get like too absorbed into like staying alive. But yeah, I was thinking like, some of these big projects that I want to do anyway, clearly people find it worth the time. Because honestly, like, spending, 30, 40, 50, sometimes hundreds of hours to make a single video, it's not a smart return on investment by any metric. Like, even if the video makes me $1,000, then that's what, $10 an hour? Is that the minimum wage? A little bit above in some states, a little bit below in other states of America. It's roughly the UK minimum wage, which is great. But I mean, in terms of like the opportunity cost compared to another video, if I can make a 1 million view video that gets that takes 1 hour, that gets this the same number of views, then it's obviously more efficient. It's not a smart business move to make these huge survival projects, but I love that it inspires other people, and it's kind of cool that like there's a part of me that likes spreading the idea of like, hey, if you work on something, whatever it is, I recommend Minecraft. I like Minecraft survival projects, but if you work hard on something, if you put the effort into anything, with Minecraft being a great example, the reward you get on the end of that usually feels so much better. The reason that instant gratification, like Instagram, Twitter, stuff like this, they train the parts of your brain that feel good. That's why they use warm colors. That's why they redesigned the app. They're trying to constantly make the experience more and more engaging, to make you feel more and more like, satisfied, for lack of a better word. They're trying to make you feel good. They're trying to activate the good receptors in your brain, the dopamine, and just be like, hey, good thing, good thing, good thing. But because it's all instant, because there's no continuity of like thought and ideas and stuff, it's not usually a lasting happiness. No one ever says, oh, I just sat down and watched Instagram for 6 hours. I'm feeling so good right now. Like, I saw a girl in a bikini earlier, and then I saw she was promoting this green tea supplement, and I was really on board with that. Very few people get like that. Most people are like, oh, I don't know why I just did that. I sat here and I feel bad now. Whereas when you work hard on something, the rewards sometimes take a lot longer to come out of it, but they often feel good for longer too. And yeah, one of the cool things I like about these big project videos that take, dozens of hours is that the end result of it is that, because honestly, like, I think realistically, like, a lot of people might come away thinking like, so was that real or not? But when you see these videos, like in my Let's Plays and my background gameplay, you can see most of the gameplay in some form of live stream of me making these big projects. And because of that, I think it's really cool that, like, it's one of the few opportunities where you can see big projects, you can know it's legit, you can see the slow time lapse. We're doing all sorts of fun editing tricks here and there, like trying to show off, like, oh yeah, here's how it's happening and whatnot. Like, when you can see it happening, I hope the fact that it's inspiring people, to me, makes it worth being a bad investment otherwise. And yeah, that's the cool thing about ideas on the other hand. Like, on the one hand, some people use ideas as an excuse to do harm to other people, and I think that is, pretty unforgivable, right? But you can also use ideas as an excuse to make things that shouldn't be, economically possible. Things that shouldn't be logically possible can be possible, almost solely because of people's love and addiction to their own ideas. I'm gonna die. Okay, I wasn't ever gonna die, but I was gonna be set on fire, I guess, is my real concern there. But yeah, and yeah, that's why today's video, it was all talking about ideas, which all stemmed from me eating literally just fish for a week. Oh, we need to put stuff away, I guess. Or we could just drop this bow. Like, do I want this bow? I don't want this bow. Let's drop this bow. But yeah, what I realized today is I've never liked assigning myself like you'll never hear me call myself like, oh yeah, I'm kind of a type B personality. I'm a Cancer, so I get a little crazy. If I call you names, it's not because I'm a bad human being. It's because I'm a Cancer. I don't know if Cancers are known for being crazy. I think they are, right? Like, I don't know the star signs. If you know the star signs, then like that's fine, I guess. But yeah, the insane thing to me is that I've never been the sort of person who tries to find something in the world to align myself with, and I think everyone needs to do that for at least one or two things. Like, without ideas, what are humans? Like, without an idea, you're just another sack of meat, and there's 8 billion sacks of meat on the planet. Your ideas are the things that allow you to shape the world, and you don't need to shape it by, like setting fire to a school or something. You can shape the world by, like just by existing in it with your ideals. That's how, things like, I don't know, like the eco-friendly movement. It's not because businesses love the environment so much that they're like, oh, we're gonna cut down on waste, and now you can bring your own tubs to refill it. Like the deli in Tesco in the UK, for instance. It's because they're like, oh yeah, people believe these values, and we need to, if we shift to believe in their values too, they'll buy more stuff. And although you can be like, well, the corporatization of ideas is kind of rough, and yeah, given that it's Pride Month now, right? Is it Pride Month? I don't know. Given that it's probably Pride Month right now, a lot of people have that opinion. Feel like, you know, you can't be gay, Tesco. You're a company. Companies can't be gay. And you know, we could have a whole 25-minute video talking about like, can companies be gay? I think I'd enjoy that discussion. But although that's a thing that I would totally love to do sometime, what I'll just say for now is that yeah, I think the ideas are the thing that allow us to align ourselves, that allow us to have any unique concept in the world. And although defining yourself by a few of them is good, I think in reality, you can also have ideas you're flexible on. Like, you don't need to believe everything 100%. You can believe some things 99%. That's how we make progress. That's how we make change. Because if everyone stuck to everything 100%, then every religion would be the same as 2,000 years ago, and you know, like, there'd be a lot of downside. You know, like, I think everyone would agree that, like, oh yeah, so we don't, you know, like, English hasn't evolved, so like, you know, have you ever tried reading like 2,000-year-old text? Have you ever tried reading Shakespeare? Like, it was a work of genius when it first came out, but Shakespeare is pretty boring today because we've improved, because the definition of how to write a good play improved, and how to write a good, you know, TV show and stuff. It all changed and evolved over time because people didn't stick ideologically to those same things. They kept the same principles and they expanded on them, and that's what I'm basically saying you should do in today's video. Or maybe I'm saying you shouldn't do anything. Again, I don't really care. It's not my biggest idea. What I will say though is I hope you all enjoyed this episode of my Minecraft Xbox Updated Adventures Let's Play. If you enjoy what I have to say, maybe, I don't know, align yourself with my values by hitting that subscribe button. And as we all know on YouTube in 2019, you've got to hit the notification bell, or it's basically only half subscribing. Again, you might think, nah, but yeah, that's basically how it works. I ran out of pickaxes, so I'm going to fly back over to the giant cave. If curious, this is what it looks like from the outside. But I'm going to go fly back to my giant cave. I'm going to go repair my pickaxes, both of them, I guess. It's probably going to waste all of my like XP. I just got to level 28, just under level 30, and now we're going to waste it all again, so... You know, actually, what I'll do instead is I'll start killing wither skeletons. That's a big thing I've wanted to do for a while now, because I need to kill the wither. It's a whole thing that because I need to practice my wither fighting skills, so I'll probably do that. Maybe it'll be a big project video that maybe you'll enjoy watching in the future. I don't know for now. All I know is I hope you'll enjoy this video, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.